You're listening to Something Cheeky, a collection of podcasts where two sisters discuss TV, books, and movies with just enough irreverence and far too many pop culture references. Welcome to Something Cheeky, the Gentleman Bastards edition, where we discuss the Lies of Locke Lamora, book 1 of the series by Scott Lynch. I'm Nikki.
I'm Rosanna.
Today we're covering the 12th interlude, the White Iron Conjurers. In this chapter, we learn that whomever said, "Neither borrower nor lender be," never lived in Camorr. Rosanna, what do you consider a revelation from this interlude?
This interlude revealed to me that it wouldn't take me very long to read it. No, this was a really, really short interlude. Probably the shortest thing we've had so far.
Definitely.
I think the point of this interlude was the introduction of Meraggio, the Duke of White Iron. The Meraggio as a position?
Yeah, they called it kind of like an office.
Yeah. This office that has been held by many people from the same family. They are the facilitators of commerce in Camorr.
I know that there's something in books that is similar, and I cannot think of what it is. Of an example.
Is it Master of Coin?
Maybe it is like Master of Coin, where it's, it's a title held by different people. It keeps the same title. But I feel like there's some family version of that.
This is definitely a family business that started a long time ago, and they've kept this power.
I know what it's like. There's a book I read not too long ago called The Hangman's Daughter. The executioner is this position, but it's passed down through families. And it's always, someone from the family, even though it's, of course, a different executioner for every generation.
That sounds like a horrible job to get just because you're born into the family.
Well, and the terrible thing is nobody wants to marry the daughter of the executioner for the town. And it's not just, it's called the hangman, but he does all kinds of executions. He does torture interrogations to try to get people, to admit to their crimes. He has to draw and quarter people. It's really terrible what he does. And so they're kind of ostracized, even though they're a necessary part of the town to keep law and order.
And also apparently they have no choice.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
It's a really interesting book. It's historical fiction. There was a family in, it's not Holland, but it's somewhere in Europe where this was an actual kind of situation where it was this sort of position passed down in families. This one's a lot more fantastical. There's all kinds of crazy stories going on in it. It's really fun to read. I definitely recommend it. But yeah, it's the same kind of thing where it's one title and a new person every generation in the same family gets it. What was your favorite quote for this interlude?
This is the quote that I chose. Trade is all of these things, and in Camorr, when one speaks of business practices fair or foul, when one speaks of commerce on the grandest scale, one name leaps to mind above and before all others, the Meraggio.
Nice.
It's like, if you want to know who to go to, everybody's going to tell you to go to this guy.
So the equivalent of Amazon on the internet?
I love Amazon.
Also, every time I hear the name Meraggio, I think Bellagio.
Same.
So all I'm picturing is the fountains with the songs.
Though the last several times I've been to Las Vegas, we didn't even watch the light show at the Bellagio. I think once is kind of enough.
I met up with a whole bachelor party once when I was in Vegas at the Bellagio fountains.
I got lost in the Bellagio. My husband and I went to Las Vegas several years ago with 8 of our friends. For a whirlwind trip. We were there for, I think, 28 hours. And it feels like 20 of them were in the Bellagio because we could not find a door that led outside. So if you go to the Bellagio, take a rope or drop breadcrumbs because you get in the middle of it and you can't get out.
It's a labyrinth. I recently learned the difference between a labyrinth and a maze. And I didn't know that there was a difference between a labyrinth and a maze. A maze is basically something that has a beginning and an end. You go in one end and you escape the other end. A labyrinth is leading you toward the center where there's something there.
Ah, that makes sense, actually.
It's not something you're supposed to go in and escape out of. It's to get you lost. It's not to make it challenging to escape. It's literally there to funnel you to a specific spot that is not the exit.
Seeing the movie Labyrinth, that makes sense.
It really does.
All roads lead to David Bowie.
To the Goblin King. And his massive codpiece. Dance, magic, dance. So in this very short interlude, we basically get the background of, we've heard of Coin Kisser's rule before, but just as little mentions here and there. Never got much information about it, but now we find out it's where all the moneylenders work. And it really got started by the Meraggio family. I always find it interesting, the comparisons of moneylenders to criminals in everything where anyone ever talks about moneylenders. It's always in a bad light. Definitely a Wolf of Wall Street kind of feeling. Mm-hmm. And this started out with, it is said in Camorr that the difference between honest and dishonest commerce is that when an honest man or woman of business ruins someone, they don't even have the courtesy to cut their throat to finish the affair.
That's pretty intense.
It is. It's not a very nice view of business people at all.
But then they're obviously necessary because they've been doing this for generations.
Right. People always need to borrow money for something. I borrowed money for my mortgage, so...
Oh, don't even get me started on how many people I owe money to.
We also learned that it was basically merchants that got city-states like Camorr out of ruin after the Theron throne collapsed. We haven't really heard much about Theron throne, besides the language Throne Theron, which is backwards. We haven't gotten really any information, but now it seems like it was an empire. What are your thoughts on that? Are you interested in that, or do you think it's just a tiny piece of information that doesn't matter?
I'm having a hard time figuring out why we've been told anything in this interlude. I just don't know what to attach it to. I guess because Locke needs money, so we're learning about somebody that loans money. I feel like this information could have come in a chapter through discussion or maybe visiting, this place. Yeah. It just feels like I can't figure out why it got its whole entire own interlude. What information is in here that is so important?
And it's really different from previous interludes. It's not a flashback.
It's a history lesson.
Which actually was like the last interlude. That was history lesson as well, and we didn't get Bug and the Salvara twins and Father James.
They got taken away from us pretty recently. I'm still raw about the loss of the guys. And I was looking forward to being able to see them again in the interludes.
Do you think we actually will see them again in the interludes?
I believe that we will. I think it would be strange if we didn't.
Okay. We find out that really seemingly small actions of people on Coin Kisser's Row have just massive and far-reaching implications across, the whole country, really. They're really a lot more powerful than the small shop owners. But also, there are thieves to steal cargo, and assassins, and black alchemy, and people hiring gangs.
It sounds like a really dangerous place to hang out. I would be scared to go there.
Though I imagine that there is a lot of security, a lot of yellow jackets there, most likely. But it does also seem like the Meraggio and, other coin kissers are pretty sneaky. There's a line, manipulations of coin and paper that would have had bonds magi bowing at the waist in recognition of their devious subtlety. That about the bonds magi made me think they're not just magically talented and vicious, but tricksters too, which is not something that we really got before. We heard they're powerful and, they're loyal to each other and they'll come after you, but not that they're sneaky and not straightforward in their dealings. Which I guess maybe you can assume some of that based on some of the things that the Falconer can do, but as an organization, that seems unexpected to me at least. I like the story about the first Meraggio that got rich was because they raced back to Camorr after a duke had died, bought up all the black crepe for mourning clothes, and then sold it really high markup.
I mean, it's really kind of brilliant.
Yeah, and ruthless.
I suppose.
And their building keeps growing it. They keep buying up adjacent buildings.
Kind of reminds me of the house that Mom always dreams about. That every time she opens a door, there are more rooms. The house just gets bigger and bigger as she continues the dream. She's been having that dream for 30 years.
I read once that that's actually a pretty common dream. Supposedly means that there's more about yourself to discover.
Or maybe it just means you want a bigger house. I go back and forth with dream interpretations. Sometimes I think it really is just what you're dreaming.
Literal.
Yes, I do think there are a lot of times that it's actually a subconscious thing. I've had reoccurring dreams like that, where it's definitely something else. But sometimes it really just is that you want a bigger house.
Sometimes I'm violent in my dreams. I had this really insane dream where I was fighting off these like foot-long wasps that were attacking me. But so I was attacking them with this knife and I stabbed one into the brick wall. And I didn't have a knife, another was coming at me. So I started hitting him into the wall and I woke up hitting my husband in the back, like slamming my fist on his back. He's like, what the hell?
You gotta watch out when you're having what sounds like a Hunger Games dream.
I have dangerous dreams.
I have very normal dreams.
Yeah, you dream like about going to work and stuff.
Unfortunately, yes, that's true.
That is a waste of dream time.
Hey, I agree. I wish I could figure out how to do, what do you call it when you can control yourself in your dream?
Lucid dreaming.
Lucid. I wish I could figure out how to dream lucidly, but so far, no. I would totally go to the wonderful wizarding world of Harry Potter if I could take myself somewhere in my dream on purpose. I would just do that.
The Meraggios keep making money by trading and kind of having risky investments, and then eventually start actually banking and lending money to make even more money, almost more passively. So they seem pretty important, and also it sounds like there is a massive amount of money in one location. But that's all we get from this chapter. So next week, our schedule is going to be a little bit different. There's no interlude after chapter 13. So we're going to have one episode next week, but it'll be a long one because the chapter is really long. It's like 55 pages or something. And next week's reading is chapter 13 called Orchids and Assassins.
That is nothing to me. How could I possibly make a prediction based on that?
Start with Assassins. That seems unexpected, right?
Putting assassins and orchids in the same title makes me think that the orchids are people called orchids.
Oh.
You know, like the yellow jackets.
Okay. And the spider. And
yeah. So maybe the orchids are a group of people, like assassins are a group of people.
So you don't know anything based on this title unless you want to keep riffing on assassins, maybe?
It is my favorite thing to riff on. No, I don't know.
Oh, shush. What about just in general predictions for what's going to happen next? And we're getting near the end of the book.
Okay, I got it. Somehow,
Okay.
Locke is going to convince the spider that Caparrazza is the Thorn of Camorr, and he's going to get captured or murdered, and Locke is going to get away.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't think that's actually going to happen, but it would be very tidy, which I'm a big fan of. I'm also a fan of Locke not dying, so I just keep thinking that if Locke and the spider sat down and had a conversation, they would be friends. So
Yeah.
I don't want them to be adversaries.
I know in a previous episode you mentioned that it would be really neat if Locke was the next spider.
Yeah, that'd be cool. He'd be good at it.
Yeah, he would.
Jean could be the new Reynard.
I think that Locke would probably continue cons to try to catch people and end up going way overboard.
I think he'd have a hard time staying behind the scenes the way the spider does.
Yeah.
I think he likes to be more in the middle of stuff than controlling it from afar. I just don't know what's going to happen to him. I'm so worried about him.
So we still haven't met Sabitha.
Oh, yeah. Dang it, Sabitha, where you at, girl? I'm beginning to think we're not going to meet her. I don't even know if she's real. She's just a name. She's like Betty Crocker. I think it would be really nice for Locke right now for Sabitha to come back and to mourn with him and with Jean. I'm worried about his poor little heart. I'm worried about how he hasn't eaten. I'm worried about how he needs a bath. I just want to take care of him because he's had a rough time.
I feel like Jean's probably got that covered.
I know Jean takes care of him. I do. I think it would be good for Jean also if Sabitha came back to have someone to share that with.
Yeah, maybe Jean and Sabitha had some sort of little affair going on, and that's why.
Jean would never do that to Locke.
That's probably true. Also, Jean has his secret girlfriend that we invented.
That likes to read poetry or to be read to with little glasses and a bow in her hair. I'm sure she's adorable.
All right. Any other predictions you want to try? What's going to happen to Raza and the Falconer?
I'd still like to hear Raza and the twins' story about why they hated Barsavi so much. And
yeah.
I still believe that there was a personal connection between Raza and either Locke or Father Chains or the General Ambassadors as a group, because I really think that he came after them hard. I mean, he tried to kill all of them.
Yeah.
There just has to be more to it.
And now he has a bounty on Jean's head.
Yeah, I really hope that we find out what his deal is with both of these characters before the end of the book.
Now, do you think he has the bounty on Jean just because he would expect Jean to try to get revenge? Or if like you say, there may be more of a connection there?
I think he wants them all to be dead, and this is just a loose end.
Okay.
I don't think he'll feel satisfied until they're all dead.
That's very sad.
I wonder if at one point Jean is going to take on the twins and they're each going to get a wicked sister in the face. Because his axes are called sisters and they're sisters.
That's true.
So like if there's this like fight out scene, it's going to be Locke versus Raza and then Jean versus Bologna? What is it?
Bologna. Yes, they're the Bologna Twins.
I feel bad saying the Bologna Twins. But that's pretty much always what I think, even though I think that the name... Tell me the name again?
Berengius.
Which, it's a name I really like, but for whatever reason, I cannot ever summon it. So I'm just going to have to call them Bologna Twins for now. So we're going to have a fight out scene, and it's going to be Locke v. Raza, and Jean with the Wicked Sisters v. Bologna Twins, and they're getting axes in the face.
The Bologna Falconer.
I like Kappa Bologna. That's the best.
Kappa Bologna.
I don't have any other predictions. I really don't know. I'm actually very eager to read this next chapter because it's long and it makes me think that we'll get some real meat.
Yeah, like bologna.
Bologna is not real meat. It is faux meat.
That's our episode. Please leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow us on Twitter at SomeCheek and Facebook.com/SomeCheek.
And listeners, please visit our website, somethingcheekypodcast.com, to send us questions, feedback, and learn about our other shows.
And if you listened to the last episode, we're still requesting your questions for our advice column.
Something cheeky advice.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
Dig-a-da-dum, dig-a-da-da-da-dum.